Hey there, and welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about the ultimate gift guide that's going to take your homeschool and build the culture of your homeschool to develop curious and confident kids. That's what we're talking about today because, I mean, who's gotten gifts that your kids have just tossed into a corner, never to be seen again, or maybe the gifts are taking away from family connection and love of learning? Or maybe they're broken easily, something that's not super meaningful and really building their love of learning. I don't want you to waste your money on that. I don't want you to waste your money on that. I want you to look at investing to build your family's culture and your kids' love of learning through the gifts that they're getting. And by the way, that's all an investment. It's not just spending money on Christmas gifts. We're in a place right now where we need to be very intentional about the money that we spend and how we're spending it. And everybody's doing that. So I'm excited because we have always done that. We've gotten a little trinket here and there, but I stopped doing that after a while because it just doesn't get used. It's enjoyed for about 5 minutes, maybe less, and then we're over it. And then it just becomes something we give away or just end up tossing. And I don't want to do that anymore. So that's what we've done for the last probably a good 10 plus years, maybe even more than that. We've give our son presents and gifts that build his love of learning and support our culture of lifelong learning and really help him develop into a lifelong learner. So this is going to be really exciting. I'm very, very intentional about this list. And this list, by the way, is a list of categories. It's not a list of one specific book or one specific toy or something like that. It's not that. It's a list of categories because as everything I teach, we need to individualize it for our kids, right? We're always doing that with our gifts and our presents and with our homeschool. We need to make sure that we do that here. So it's not going to be a list of specific gifts, but I'm going to give you some ideas. I'm going to give you the categories and I'm going to give you some ideas with each one. Now, all of these categories, they do three things. They build family connection. They build or reinforce or increase love of learning. And they introduce and inspire new topics of interest, new areas of study, deeper learning about different things that they're already into, but really inspiring that love of learning and getting us introduced to new things. They also kind of can build family traditions too, which I think is really fun. And some of these I'll tell you about how we've done it along the way. Within these categories, there are a lot of options. And I want you to be thinking about your family and what resonates for you, what's practical for you. Some of you live in an area where you don't go outside very much when it snows, and snowing happens all the time during the winter and spring. I get it. Sometimes you need to adjust. Some of us, well, actually, right now it's freezing in California. That kind of applies to us too, although some of you don't consider our what we're experiencing right now freezing, but we do. It's absolutely freezing. Okay. You got to adjust based on what your family needs are, your family situation, and where your family relationships are right now, because we always want to be building that connection. That's part of love of learning. And that's part of developing a lifelong learner is that connection where we can talk about things, we can discuss, we can have experiences and learning experiences that are outside, inside, everywhere. Learning happens everywhere all the time. I'm always saying that, right? That's the message we want to send. And that's the message that all five of these categories work through. And they all send that message. First category. Are you ready? This is super exciting. This is something you probably want to write down, something you want to watch over again, but I'm just going to be real quick about this. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about this today because I want you to go out and make a list for yourself, talk about it with your family and with your spouse and really get a list of what would actually build your culture, okay? The first one is opportunities to make family connection and memories outside your home. outside your home. So let's think about this. What can we do outside the home? Again, this might depend on where you're at, where you're living, the snow, everything, right? But field trips, these don't have to be expensive, by the way. And one of the things I love about this list of categories is that most of these things are very inexpensive. I mean, you can spend a lot of money on it if you want to, but you don't have to. And I love that because we're making meaning, we're making connection, and we're being intentional. Family memories and connection outside the home. What can we do? Field trips, concerts, plays, museum passes, the zoo passes. We did that once. And although we don't really have a zoo close to us, so that was a little difficult, but we did do that once. We did museum pass one year. I guess we did kind of a zoo because we have an amusement park that has like zoo animals. We did do that. But camping, obviously not if you're in the snow, maybe not right now, but maybe a coupon for a camping trip. Or if you have a travel trailer or an RV, maybe you want to go in that, right? And then road trips. Road trips are great learning experiences. Again, these are just some ideas just to get your brain flowing, your brain thinking about what you would do for your family. So, number one was learning opportunities, making memories outside your home. Guess what number two is? Making memories and opportunities to build connection in your home. There's so many things we can do here. We can do family coloring day. We can do board games and card games and puzzles and family baking contest. What? I mean, that's really fun. You could do like boys against girls. You could do kids against parents. Whatever. You could do all kinds of things. It's really fun. So you could do gingerbread houses, family read aloud books. You can give read aloud books to your kids that you can experience all together, right? Camping in the backyard, obviously, weather permitting, but maybe a coupon for that when the weather turns better. S'mores at night over the fire pit. That's something you could do in most weather situations, right? And family reading day. This is something I used to do with my high school students when I was teaching in the classroom. I would do just a silent reading day. The whole period, we just read. And some kids hated it, but most of the kids liked it because it was something we did every day. We did a little bit of time reading every day. And my goal was to get them to get a book they like, to find something they want to read. And most of the time, I would say about 95% of the time, it wasn't all the time, but it was about 95% of the time throughout the year they did. And every once in a while, we would do a read aloud, or not a read aloud, we would do a reading day. So they could just come in, get comfy. I used to have a futon mattress, an older futon mattress I just put on the floor, and the kids would read on there and they would just curl up and read a book. And it was super great. It was really fun. They really liked it. Kids of all ages like that. And if they don't like reading, then maybe they could do audiobooks or something like that, right? And we can just do read alouds during that time. We could do so many fun things, right? That's number two. Things you can build connection with inside your home. We're building memories, connections, and what this allows you to do is have discussions, share family memories, share family stories, personal stories from you growing up, stories about them. Kids love to hear about how they were, their birth situation, their family nicknames, how those came about, the stories, all those things. They love when they hear about those kinds of things. That's a really fun way to do that. It also gives you an opportunity to transfer values and morals and just talk about human nature. Maybe I know our conversations go a whole different manner of subjects. We talk about economics, human nature, we talk about history and politics and all kinds of things, art and music and everything. We cover all the bases. So those are just opportunities for you to be able to have those discussions and really connect together as a family. Super super important for raising lifelong learners and leaders. They have to know who they are. They have to have a solid foundation of those things. Whether you're just home by yourself with the kids or you have your spouse with you or whatever the case, your grandparents are joining, that's great. All of it. Build it all. It's super fun. The third category The third category is in the child's interest and study areas. So, whatever they love to learn about, this is what we're going to focus on. Now, I would challenge you to steer a little bit away from the actual getting of the video games here. If we're looking at raising lifelong learners, I'm not saying all video games are bad because they're not, but I am saying that getting getting a video game is, even though it's in their interest, is not going to, I should say, most of the time it doesn't build family connection. Sometimes it does. So it just depends on how you're using it, but I would just try to open your brain a little bit more, or you could go in a related area like a history or a biography of somebody who made that, or there's all kinds of things out there on video game or the animations or something like that, right? Some kind of book on that area or a project or a class or something like that. So we're talking about all their areas of interest, books on their topic of interest, art projects, science kits. There's all kinds of classes where they can take to do video gaming stuff. That's cool. I mean, that's fine. I think that's a great way of learning coding and computer design and things like that, graphic design. Play with it. Sure, why not, right? Magazine subscriptions are fantastic. We have a couple of magazine subscriptions. We varied them throughout the years depending on what phase of learning Kenyon was in, but we use magazine subscriptions as a way to build interest and love of learning because magazines usually have a wide range of topics that they talk a little bit on, just enough to spark a little interest. That's a really great way for you to, oh, here's a different topic. Here's something you haven't learned about before, right? I mean, really? Then you can dig deeper into more learning. Okay. That was number 3, building in your child's interest and study areas, going deeper, that kind of stuff. We get Kenyon books all the time on I just got him books on AI. We got him books on history. We got him all kinds of books about leadership and personal growth because he loves that kind of stuff. That's what we're focused on. He digs it. We even got him a planner, a productivity planner last year, and he was juiced. He was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because he's really trying to work on his scheduling and things like that. I mean, come on, right? Let's get them things they're trying to work on, get them tools to help them do that. That's great. And also for child's interest in study areas, when we're digging into the things that they're trying to work on, we also want to dig into the stuff that we're working on too. Don't forget about your learning, because that's important. And let me just put a little plug in here about the Inspiring Lifelong Learning Academy, because that's where we do that kind of stuff. We build it all together. This is an example of what we do in the Inspiring Lifelong Learning Academy. So number 4 is parent-child one-on-one connection. Your kids need one-on-one attention. I know it's difficult when you have many kids, or you have, just kids, especially that are close in age. One of my best friends, she has 4 kids and 2 of them are 18 months apart. And it was really hard for a while, for a lot of years, to make sure that they built in one-on-one time for each of their kids. And they could tell in their behavior when they hadn't had enough one-on-one time. It makes such a difference. It really has made such a difference for her. How about a coupon for a daddy date or tea time with mom, right? How about that? How about an extra read aloud, just one-on-one in their book that they love? That's a fun time. That's super family connection right there. Mom and child connection. And then how about a mentor day? Like you with your child one-on-one, just the whole day. I know that's hard. And my friend that has 4 kids, she is very diligent about making sure that there's time for each of her kids. And they even do, like, her and her daughter went to visit some friends in another state, and they had that was basically like a mentor time, because they had one-on-one time, and it was a ways away. They had to fly there. So, and dad and the boys, they stayed home. I love this. And then dad and the boys, they go out camping, they go out hiking, they go out backpacking. I mean, their daughter goes with them too sometimes. She's amazing. I love her. But there's just some ideas. parent-child connection one-on-one. So we have family connection time and we have one-on-one time. Get how this inspires love of learning and really creates that family connection. This is where your kids start telling you things that they wouldn't have told you otherwise because you're always so busy with all the kids and everything. So this is really, really cool. This is important. And the last thing, number 5 category is service. Anything that shows service outside of our home. It could be service inside your home too. One of the things I love that my best friend does is she has her kids make each other birthday, or I'm sorry, not birthday, but well, birthday too, but birthday and Christmas gifts. They give each other presents, and sometimes they're made and sometimes they're bought, but most of the time they're made, or when they were younger anyway. And so it's super cool to see that because they're really serving each other and really sharing thoughtfulness, like I thought of you, right? But I also love the outside service projects. So my son and I, we do a project every year where he makes special cards. That's one of his things. He makes special cards from scratch. He makes cards, and then we go to our fire and police department and we give them a like 4-pack Costco pack of apple cider because they can't drink on the job, but they need something fancy. And I figure they get a lot of goodies and cookies and cakes and all that stuff from lots of other places. I give them apple ciders. They have something they can celebrate with. And it's just been our tradition every year we do that. And it's really, really awesome to see him giving his cards and then giving the apple cider. And they're so grateful. And it's just something to get us say, hey, thanks. We've also done cards for veterans overseas. There are organizations that send those. You usually have to do them like 4 to 6 months in advance. Just keep a lookout for that. You can search for those things. But there's all kinds of things. You can do shelter meals and serving those. You can do food pantry and giving to the food pantries. Toys for Tots. My mom just got a pair of pajamas because she said that Sleep Train is doing a pajama for kids who don't have PJs giveaway, and so you can donate to Sleep Train some PJs for kids. How awesome is that? What that does is it builds their idea of the greater worldview. There's community outside of our family. There's community out there. We can serve them. It gives them gratitude. Wow, I'm so blessed, right? And it gives them a bigger heart for people. It's so, so important. You see how some of these things necessarily aren't like their gift giving isn't necessary, or service project isn't for him necessarily, for my son, but it is for outside and outside our house and outside our families. Just thinking about that being part of your gift giving entourage that you do during the season, make that part of it. Just so you remember, number 1 category was opportunities to make family memories outside your home. Then we had opportunities to make family memories and connections inside your home. And then we had things that support or increase love of learning in your child's interest or deeper study or even in other areas of study, right? And then we had parent child connection one-on-one. And then we had service projects and service to each other, service to outside of our house. All of these things help build a culture of love of learning. That's the ultimate homeschool gift guide if you want to raise confident, curious, lifelong learners who eventually become leaders out in the world, leading their own life and hopefully contributing to their communities and maybe even more. Who knows? So I hope you really take this to heart, and I hope you found this valuable to use as your gift guide for hopefully this year or in the next years to come. These are good for birthdays too, by the way. So don't have to be the holidays, but it can be anytime you're giving your kids a gift. I always have a list running on Amazon for all the things that I want to include. I always take book recommendations and then I put them in a list so that I always have something in case the family's like, what can we get him for Christmas? Here you go. I just did that today with my sister. She's like, what can I get him for Christmas? I'm like, here's a couple of books. It's awesome. It's really fun. And we can increase love of learning that way. I want to hear about what you're learning about and what your gifts are what you're using to support your love of learning. I want to hear your ideas. Please, give me a DM on Facebook or Instagram, email me, mentor@thefreedomscholar.com, or just comment below this video or below where you're listening to this right now. I just love to hear about it because we can share those things with each other. And trust me, I love to share those things. All right, you guys, I will see you next time, and I hope you're gearing up for a love of learning holiday. Bye bye.